Today in Swords and Sandals, we'll take a look at the history and geography of how Traetonia, and more specifically, the continent of Brandor, was formed throughout the 640 years of its history. In the previous video, I talked about the timeline of the whole franchise, so now we take a tour around Brandor, the oldest and largest continent of Traetonia. We'll discuss the history and geography of the different kingdoms and locations that have existed so far. The furthest the games are in the timeline is 640 CM, but we need to go back to the very beginning to see how everything started and why it happened the way it did. The planet Traetonia was void of life once, but then the first settlers, known as the Precursors, came through the portal known as the Constellation Mirror on their ships, fleeing their home planets. Some of these planets were destroyed by a dying sun, while others were devoured by an evil being known as the Malevolence. There's two types of races in Traetonia: the Precursors, who arrived first, and the Secutors, who started arriving in the next 600 years. Much of the Precursors' early knowledge of technology in the stars was lost along with the precious materials required to build their great starships. Over time, the early civilizations fell to ruin and the power to live Traetonia was lost to antiquity. Brandor has 7 cities acting as their own autonomous realms, each with their own monarchy or other variant of rule governing them. Kingdom of Phaedor, Dracondier, the Free States of Braxis, the Iron Republic, Tkash, Warmhaven, and Edengard. While each city has their own separate autonomy, they all mostly serve under the mightiest power in the continent, the Kingdom of Phaedor. We will talk about each separate kingdom, where they are located, their allegiance, political motivations, and their people. The major political and military power in the realm has been the Kingdom of Phaedor, which has established rule for more than 400 years. While most kingdoms were forced to abide by the rule and law of Phaedor, they did so reluctantly and were barely held together without it falling apart, which it eventually did for a time. Phaedor is one of the oldest and richest cities in the continent, filled with large green fields of grass and forests, as well as the Great Lake on its west side. It is one of the cleanest and most prestigious places in all of Brandor, with wide streets and beautiful lit lanterns, and gardens with fountains. This kingdom is a monarchy ruled by King Lionel Injade IX. He comes from a very long lineage of royalty spanning for hundreds of years. This is King Lionel I, an ancestor of the current-day King Lionel IX. It's highly possible that every king has been named Lionel since there's 8 others with the same name, kinda like King Louis of France. Legend has it that the first Lionel king healed one of the giant Khazrar lions, which has formed a pact between the mighty beasts and the kings of Phaedor ever since to protect each other. The Holy Realm of Dracondier serves as Phaedor's closest ally and is a highly strategic location fought over for centuries. It is ruled by the religious Templar Church and was formed several hundred years ago. Just like in real life, the Templar Church holds the most land across the realm. Some of the founding members of the Templar Church came from Earth, which is why there is a touch of fanaticism, but also a code of honor that came from the samurai in feudal Japan, the same place that the ancestors of Sir Belgrave are from. Although the church fights for establishing unity in Brandor, they are zealous and fanatical at times, letting their strict code of honor and morale get in the way of reason. Dracondier prospers during the time of Sir Belgrave as the High Marshal of the church and effectively the realm. After his death, however, it is led by a high priest known as the Grim Confessor, who has only escalated the worst of the church. The Free States of Braxis is a sprawling hub of trade and industry, stands as a symbol of humanity's influence over the land, being the first city in Brandor founded by the Precursors and older than Phaedor itself. With a population nearing 100,000, it can be both awe-inspiring and off-putting in its sheer scale. As the capital of the Free States, a coalition of independent towns and villages that align with the kingdom yet govern themselves democratically. Braxis holds significant political and cultural sway. It is ruled by senators and temporarily by military leaders like Baron Wolfgang during times of war like the Crusader War. Although Braxis has been a faithful ally to Phaedor, it has grown enough in power and size to now seek to separate itself and become fully independent. The Iron Republic used to be part of the Kingdom of Phaedor, but seceded through a military coup from the crown. They started their newly found republic in the abandoned city of the Gallowstones. They claimed their realm was of justice and equality, but in reality it quickly became a chaotic mess of corruption and power struggle between senators. Lord Florian Dupont was their appointed leader who built their navy and established order but died shortly after that. After Florian Dupont's death, his daughter, Mary Dupont, became the Iron Admiral of the realm and partook in the Four Oceans War in a power struggle for resource and territory. The Iron Republic is a communist realm with a poor distribution of resource and wealth, with grim and unhappy people, just as their eventual leader, Lord Selen Helmgard, who assassinated his own sister to ascend to power and partook in the Crusader War. Despite being completely devastated and losing the Crusader War, the Iron Republic remained a separate realm from crown rule even after Selen Helmgard's death. To this day, they are fighting for independence and freedom, whatever that means for them. Tash Brandor is a huge oasis in the middle of the Takash Desert. There are rumors that the Takash Desert was once an ocean many centuries ago, which is somewhat backed up by the bones of humongous sea creatures laying around. It is unknown when Tash Brandor was formed or by who, but one thing we do know is that the first ruler we see from it is Lord Taludin and his royal family. The bazaars of this realm are known across the continent, and everyone comes here to trade, making the city ever so rich. Before the events of Swords and Sandals pirates, Tash Brandor was conquered by Arglex and his beast force, and the royal family had to flee the country. It belonged to the beast force for some years, but after the Crusader War, it was liberated and the royal family returned to rule. It took years for the royal family to reclaim Tash Brandor, which is why the members you see that came back to power here are not the same as the ones I showed earlier. The members on the left, Lord Taludin, the Maharaja Said, and Daughter of the Blades, are the ones present when Tash Brandor is taken over just before 586 CM, while the ones you see on the right are their descendants and successors, the Maharaja Ishvar, Prince Junaid, and Bent al-Sayaf, also known as Keeper of the Blades, who all appear in the story in 640 CM, in Swords and Sandals Immortals, when they have taken back the land from the Beast Force. At the time of Swords and Sandals Immortals, much of this realm has been returned to its former glory by the new Maharaja Ishvar the Benevolent. Warmhaven and Gunteria. This is one of the unluckiest and arguably worst places to live in all of Brandor, as it is situated at the most northern parts of the continent, so it's extremely cold and freezing most of the time. It rains constantly, but despite the scarce resources available, the population keeps increasing, with fish being the main source of food that is found. They pillage, steal, and fight over turf with others as much as they do between themselves, as they are warrior people. This realm is rarely united under one rule, except when there is a war across the continent happening. Warmhaven, along with Gunteria, are both comprised of tribal warriors. During the events of pirates, the tribes are led by Olaf the Unhinged until he is killed and replaced by Bors the Mighty a year after the Four Oceans War. Bors is also killed eventually, and after that the hundreds of tribes separate again and not much is heard about them after that, but they likely keep fighting between each other. Edingard is not a pleasant place for anyone that isn't part of the Legion of H, an unwelcoming place of malice and corruption, towers and prisons, wretched scum, pirates and villainy. Edingard used to be a protectorate ruled by the Carolus family, aka Hikeos' family, under Phaetor. It also used to be religious, worshipping Sol the One, just like most other cities in the continent, until Hikeos took over and changed their religion to worship the Malevolence. Edingard already had a bad rep before that, but now being under the control of a madman was the point of no return. Hikeos despises Brandor and wants to take it over due to a childhood feud he had with Baron Wolfgang over a girl Wolfgang supposedly stole from Hikeos. After the Crusades, it is unknown what has become of Edingard and if it's ruled by a more competent and benevolent rule, but at least it is not ruled by the Legion of H so far. I've covered the main cities in Brandor thus far. Now I will talk about some of the lesser known places in the continent. Archmagus is a mountain city covered by clouds most of the year and extremely hard to climb to unless one knows the magic of teleporting. That someone would be the pupils of Wizard Academy located within the walls of Archmagus. Or Archmagius. Not sure what that's pronounced exactly, but Oliver can let us know. These wizards broke from Phaetor, carrying with them vast arcane power and sealing their library from the rest of the world. Wizards still go there to train and become masters of the magic arts, but it is very strict. The Wizard Academy does not necessarily have bad relations with Phaetor. In fact, they are seemingly still friends, but Archmagus is not a vassal to the kingdom anymore. The ancient sorcerer Bargo used to be the leader of Archmagus for a long time before he got kicked. After that, command switched to his pupil Sagan Z, and after Sagan Z's assassination, to the sorceress Luminessa. There are many wizards in Brandor with many different skill levels and magics. I plan to do a separate video on them someday. Sol's Gateway is one of the most unique locations in Brandor, high up in the mountain passes, filled with legend and notoriety. This is a town where gladiators train and fight not just each other but also otherworldly beasts. The town itself has several unique locations within, like the Hypogeum, a deep network of catacombs home to many dead heroes and gladiators, the Ventral Pyramid, which has been there for thousands of years, dedicated to a forgotten Celtic deity, and the Cathedral of Light built by the Templar Church to honor Sol the One. This frontier city is under the protection of the Templar Church due to its spiritual and religious importance. Doomtrick is an island located in the Putian Ocean, southwest of Brandor. It used to be a neutral place owned by a local tribe called the Sparaki, before being usurped by Hikeos the Scorch. He used the riches from the Four Oceans War to build a huge, outrageously expensive gladiatorial arena in Doomtrick to host gladiatorial games. That lasted for 2 years before he was overthrown by Antares and ownership switched once more. The self-crowned Emperor Antares ruled Doomtrek for a year before being defeated and overthrown himself, after which point a meat shop owner and gladiator called John the Butcher became the new manager of the island. Out of all the different owners the island had, John the Butcher Woolrich would reign the longest, for at least 45 years from the ending of Swords and Sandals 2 in 590 CM to 635 CM, which is when Swords and Sandals 5 happens and he is still alive and owns it. We can safely speculate that he would continue to be the overseer of Doomtrek until his death, which is never confirmed in the series. This island is perhaps the most known location in the Swords and Sandals universe, being the sole location of the original first 2 games and also being featured in other games like Pirates and Immortals. Okay, I'm in game in Swords and Sandals Immortals and I'll very quickly show you the whole map layout so you can see it in real time. It's so huge I can't even zoom out of it. I'm just gonna quickly show all the locations in the map so you can have an idea of where they are, since I've been talking about them for the last 10 minutes. So we're gonna start from the top down. Warmhaven, the tribes, this is where the Warmhaven, Gunteria, this is where the tribes are. Boxtench and Etania as well. Like all of the Unhinged from Pirates, where he led the tribes, and then Boros the Mighty in Crusader. Sue's Gateway right here. This is where Swords and Sandals 5 happened. Helmgard, this is led by the Iron Republic. Kragenbach actually is supposed to be, well, this is the island where Bargo lives actually. These kingdoms aren't really like a big kingdom or anything. Shackleford, Fader, Kingdom of Fader led by Lionel. Then you have Edengard led by He Chaos. Further down you have Dracondiard led by the Templar Church. Next to it, Archmagius or Archmagius by the Wizards. Then when you go east, Braxis, the Free States of Braxis by Baron Wolfgang. Again, this is actually 640 CM at this point, so a lot of these kingdoms are led by all these people I mentioned. They're dead or very old, but still. Moving forward down, this is Taj Brandir, which was led by the Royal Maharajas, and then the Beast Force, and then back to the Royal Maharajas again, the whole desert, Akash Steppes. You go further here, this is not Brandor, this is Elderhot, the other continent. The other 2 of 3 continents. It's not the whole continent here, it's just the tip of it. You can't really see the whole. It supposedly continues further down. This is just the tip of the continent. This is where Antares is from and where he presided while he was doing the Crusader War. And Doomtrek is actually supposed to be right here. This small island is Doomtrek, but this game actually has it wrong because it says it's right here, but this is for gameplay purposes because the creator didn't want the island to be reached in the game. But Doomtrek is supposed to be happening right here where the first and second game are happening, and right here is the 4 oceans, and as well as the 3rd continent, Segalis, is supposed to be somewhere further there, I believe. Nothing is explored about it, so yeah. This concludes all the big and important locations in Brandor. I thought about discussing Elderhot as well, but it is a whole continent and worth its own separate video, which I will make sometime soon, probably combining it with my long-awaited Antares video that I have been looking to make for a long time.